Welcome to your iconic image. If you want to take control of your image and be a power player in your space, then this is the show for you. Here we will arm you with tools and information to help you grow your brand on purpose. I'm your host, Marlana Semenza, photographer and visual strategist. Now let's dive into today's episode. Justin Breen is CEO of the PR firm BrEpic Communications and a best-selling author. He is hardwired to seek out and create viral, thought-provoking stories that the media craves. Welcome, Justin.
Your voice is so soothing. Man, I'm just like, this is.
Can you tell that to my husband?
I could, if he's there. I'd be happy to do that. But man, that was like very calming, like very therapeutic. So very nice intro as well.
Well, thank you. So let's talk a little bit about storytelling. Why is storytelling so powerful?
Yeah, so I was just a participant in Abundance 360. And so just as background on that, Abundance 360, 99% of the folks in that are running $10 million to $10 billion companies. And they had a little wackadoo like me in there because I made a big investment to be in that room, and my mindset and network are at the very highest level. And so one of the speakers in that was Bill Gross. Bill Gross has started more than 100 businesses. He's the founder, CEO of Idea Lab. So this guy's one of the smartest, most successful, wealthiest. I don't know if any entrepreneur that I know has started more than 100 successful companies. And so at the end of his presentation, this is Bill Gross, this is not me talking, at the end of his presentation, one of the most successful entrepreneurs on the planet said, just on a side note, I just really want to add that entrepreneurs really need to do a better job of telling their own story. And I had a holy bleep moment when I heard that, because I have a PR firm. I've been saying that for years, and I only work with the top 0.1% of people on the planet, and many of them understand that, but a lot of others don't. And so here's one of the most successful people on the planet saying how important storytelling is, because it attracts investors. It gets you in front of the right people. It enhances your brand. It helps your core messaging when you're talking to people in public or on TV or in a meeting or during a speaking presentation. And so all technology, it evolves, it gets smaller, it gets faster. And so all I do is simplify things. So there are two things that never change, ever, since humans have existed. One is the power of storytelling. Two is the power of relationships. So we've been storytellers since we've been doing paintings on cave walls, smoke signals, the Bible, hieroglyphics. That we're just a world of storytelling. That's literally what humans are, and we're power of relationships. So all this other stuff's just landing the plane, and those are the two consistents that have never stopped being consistent.
So what if somebody says, I don't really have a great story, which everybody says, right, or I don't know what story to tell. Right. How do you get to the core of what needs to be told?
Okay, so thank you for asking that, because so things that a trained monkey can do, a dumb monkey can do, like install a light bulb or I can't do those things, right? I'm useless at those. My sons ask me to do a puzzle or help follow directions. I can't do that. But in terms of connecting people on a global level and getting people in news at the highest level and immediately know what someone's story is, that there are very few people in the world that are better at it than I am. So that's a gift that you're born with. And so most people don't think they have a story because most people don't think like that. Why would you think like that if you're painting a house or if you're running a technology company or being a coach? You do that because that's not your superpower. My superpowers just happen to be connecting people on a global level and immediately getting people in news at the very highest level. And so how my brain works is I hear blah, 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 and then can immediately turn that into a 300-word story that media really wants to do and the general public cares about. And everyone has that story. Everyone.
So what gems in there do you usually hear, or do you listen for certain things?
Yeah. So I don't get excited about anything unless there's something that's worth getting excited about. So I just hear things, and then I as a journalist, I wrote 2 to 3 stories on deadline every single day. So I hear blah, 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 and then if something's interesting, I ding, 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 and then I just put all those dings together very quickly. That's so easy for me. That's like breathing for me. My book, I wrote it in 43 days. It's 30 chapters. I can write a chapter in 10 minutes. Boom, boom, boom. It's easy for me. I just don't do anything that is not easier for me, or I don't like to do it, because why would you do that? That doesn't make any sense to me. And so media needs two things. One is a good story, which everyone has, what you've overcome in life, why you started this company, cool things going on in your life. That's easy for me. I just talk to someone and immediately know that. And then two is a news peg. A news peg is, why is it a story now? So did you pivot since COVID? Did you launch a new business? Are you writing a book? Are you running across the United States? Are you speaking at an event? That's easy. And so people with the wrong mindset would try to just do that themselves, but they're going to do a horrible job at that, because that's not their, the people with the right mindset, they would hire the best person to do that, because why would you try to do something yourself that you're not good at or you don't like to do? That makes no sense to me.
Right. Do you have any kind of a process that you take people through?
Right. So it's really interesting. These are good questions, because I have the answers very simply. So I was a journalist for 20 years, created my entire business model based on how PR firms annoyed me for 20 years. So I just saw a problem, created a solution, problem solved, successful global company. And I don't know what PR firms do other than annoy journalists. And I have no idea. I don't know what they do. So my company's entire process is literally on the website. No hidden tricks. This is what my company does. Boom, 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 boom. 4-step process. We come up with the story ideas. My firm writes the story, becomes a link on the client's website under news or blog. So it'll look like a story you see in the Chicago Tribune or New York Times, whatever. Take that link, pitch it to media all over the world. Media is interested, put them in touch with the client. Problem solved. So clients around the world, all verticals, any size, from solopreneur to companies as big as Allstate or University of Illinois or Salvation Army. Like that, none of that matters, because all my company does is solve the problem. It just cuts through all the nonsense.
And is that part of the story? Is the problem somebody solves part of the story, or is the story connecting with the audience?
Man, that's a really good question. I'll answer it in two parts, because I'm a simplifier. One, nobody cares about what you do. They care about who you are. But if they do care about who you are, they will care about what you do. Okay, so all these press releases that as a journalist, I got hundreds of these a day from people I didn't know for 20 years. That's really annoying and a problem. So all these press releases talk about is what somebody's doing. And guess what? Nobody cares. But if they do care about who you are, they will care about what you do. And here's the other really interesting thing about what you asked, is that all I hear over and over and over, in my Monday through Fridays, I have 5 to 10 conversations with the top entrepreneurs in the world, 5 to 10 a day, from every Monday through Friday. So all I hear over and over and over is it's a very simple formula to creating a successful global company. Incredibly simple, right? And I already said it, but I'll say it again. Here's the formula: is you see a problem, you create solution to problem, problem solved, successful global company. See a problem, create solution, problem solved, successful global company. So all I hear over and over is people were annoyed by something. They saw a gap in the middle and they created something to solve that. So that's what's in the story too, is like, here's what the company did, the problem that the company solved. You're right, that's it.
So then how important is knowing exactly who your audience is when you're creating a story?
Right, and sorry for the dings. Like I said, it'll just keep dinging, but okay, so my entire purpose in life, this is it, right? This is it. So besides hanging out with my family, which is number one, but so I am a connecting superhero. My purpose in life is to be a connecting superhero for every visionary, abundance, investment mindset entrepreneur and share their stories with the world. I am a connecting superhero for every visionary, abundance, investment mindset entrepreneur and sharing their stories with the world. So I am so clear on who my audience is. All that does is attract my audience. And all my firm's story does is attract people that these folks want to attract. So that's the most important thing. And a lot of folks, and especially entrepreneurs, try to be everything for everyone. My company and me and everything I stand for, it's the exact opposite. It's one genius, super high levels, world-class thing for one type of person. So it weeds out everything that I don't want to deal with and everyone I don't want to interact with, because one, they can't afford what my firm does. Two, they're not going to even understand that. And three, it's not worth their time either. So it just eliminates all that. And so all the stories that, what my firm does, it just magnifies that with each client. Very simple.
And, it's interesting that you say all that, because I have always had the thought that sharing our story, if you don't know who you're speaking to, it's like walking into a crowded arena and shouting and hoping the right person across is going to hear it. You have to know who you're speaking to and move toward that audience.
Right. Yeah. Less is more. And your questions are really good because they're super simple and not long-winded. So you simplify my simplification, and which is good. So when I started my company almost 4 years ago now, I reached out to 5,000 people to get my first 5 clients because I didn't know what I was doing, and I was reaching out to everybody. So I was yelling in a crowded room, hoping someone would hear me, and 1 out of 1,000 people did. So if you want to do that, go for it. And when you start a business, you probably will have to do that. But eventually you realize who you are, but more importantly, who you are not. And so I know really at a high level who I am, but even at a higher level who I'm not. And when you know who you're not, you can really become who you are.
So now let's say you've created this story. Depending on where the audience is, do you then become targeted where you place this story?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's literally right. These questions are so good because that's literally all my firm does. From a journalistic perspective, companies hire my firm for 2 reasons. 1, my team and me, we know what a story is that's actually newsworthy, not a dumb press release. 2, I'm not sending my media contacts around the world a bad story. Mm-hmm. Just cuts through that. Result. Just get results. Because people at the highest level, they don't want BS fluff discussion. They just want results. They don't care that I'm in my living room wearing a T-shirt and a hat. They don't care about that. They just want results. That's it.
Yeah, a friend of mine says, at the end of the day, we're visual, we're lazy, and we're time poor. And so we need to cut to the chase.
Get it done. And so directness weeds out nonsense and attracts greatness. Mm-hmm. That's it.
So what about headlines? How important is that? And should they be clear? Should they be provocative? What makes a good headline?
Yes and yes. Clear and provocative and direct.
So how do you make a story that maybe isn't so interesting into something interesting if you have to?
Well, I'm easily able to do that. I can do that in a couple minutes. Most people would never be able to do that. Mm-hmm. I don't know how to answer that other than literally I've been doing that my whole life, my entire life. Let me give you some interesting background. So I was born with a story, right? Mm-hmm. Most people don't understand what that means, but I'll explain it. So when I was born, my father was 61 and my mom was 27. So there's a 34-year difference there, right? So my father was a soldier in World War II. He was an attorney in the Nuremberg trials. He also served in Korea, became the president of a company. So I don't care a lot about material things at all. They're meaning whatever. But so he kept a diary of his experiences fighting in World War II in the Battle of the Hurricane Forest. And that's my most cherished possession. It's really my only cherished possession. I don't really care about those things at all, but that diary is very important to me. And he died when I was 13. I found it after he died, and I write exactly like he does. Boom, 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 boom. Inform and entertain, inform and entertain. His diary is one of the most beautiful things. It might be the most beautiful thing I've ever read. And you got to keep in mind, he was in a battlefield, Nazis firing, bombs, mortars, all that stuff. Adam sleeping in a foxhole, rain pouring on him, still wrote the diary, right? Okay, so that's my dad. My mom was 27 when I was born. All I do is talk to the top performing entrepreneurs in the world. I have not met anyone in my entire life ever who has more hustle than my mom, ever. Her hustle's off the charts. She's a survivor and thriver. It's incredible. And so how did that happen, right? How was my mom 34 years younger than my dad, right? So my dad was driving on an expressway. A drunk driver went across a grassy knoll and hit him head on. The drunk driver was killed. My dad should have been killed, but he broke every bone in his body. And my mom was his nurse. So my mom literally nursed him back. Right. Wow. That's literally in my blood. So I just know how to do that. So you combine genius writer, battlefield, president of company, Nuremberg trial attorney with endless hustle. And that's just what I was meant to do this. So I don't question it. It's just, there's just stories flowing out of me constantly. Anything I hear, I just listen. When I'm just talking to you, I'm just listening for a story. I'm just listening. That's it. Story. What's the story? So.
And it's funny that you say that, because I do that in the images that I take too, because I know that there's a story there. When I walk into a room, when I walk into an environment, when I listen to a client speak to me for the first time, it's, okay, what's the story? There's an angle here, there's a story here. Do you think that sometimes we are just too close to our own stories that we don't see?
Boy, that's a good question. Boy, that's a great question. Yeah, you're visual to my typing words. You're visual. And it's the same thing, but different. And so like I'll talk to people and I can just talk to people and immediately they're like, I've never told someone that. First time I meet someone, I've never told someone that. You know more about me than my spouse does. I'm like, well, that's because this is my gift. And so this will answer your question. So I'll be like, oh my God, that's an incredible story. And they'll be like, really? That's just my life. I go, no, you don't, you don't understand. I wrote stories my entire life at the highest level, viral stories. Like, that's definitely a story. Like, oh, no, that's just my life. I go, no, and I appreciate that, but that's how my brain works. And that's exactly what you just said, is most people, they don't understand they have a story. Mm-hmm. And then some, they're so close to it that they don't think it's that big of a deal. But in fact, it's a huge deal, because that's what a story is. That's right. What they care about, is who you are. That's it.
I know. I wish I had a nickel, actually, for every time I've said to a client, why are you not telling the story? And they look at you like, I didn't realize it was a story.
Right. Well, that's because, again, so that's like talking to a wall. It's an interesting thing, is because people that ask me the same question 5 times, they're never going to be in my network. They're never, because they don't get it. The people that get it at the highest level are like, okay, let's just do it, because they just know that in terms of this, my firm is the highest superpower genius thing. And so anyone at the highest level, they don't do it themselves, or they just don't do it. They just hire someone else. So if I don't like to do it, or I'm not good at it, I just don't do it, or I outsource it to the top person, because why would I do something that I'm not good at or don't like to do?
Agreed.
Make sense. Right, of course.
So now that you have these stories, how do you leverage them into national media?
Man, you're such a simplifier. It's incredible to me. Okay, so my Gallup Strength Finders, I don't know if you've taken that. If you have, I'd love to know your top 5. But my top 2 are activator, maximizer. So my company activates at the start. Activate. And then it maximizes at the end. So it takes you from the 0 to 20% at the highest level, boom, 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 to the 80%, and the 80 to 100% maximizes that. And so my brain is a CRM of connectivity. I don't write anything down. I just know. I just know who's a good fit. And so as a journalist, you receive all these press releases from people you don't know. I just know all these people. So it's a real relationship. It's not a PR gimmick, garbage, stupid press release. It's something that's at the highest level, and journalists actually thank me for sending them stories. They thank me because I'm doing, my firm is doing most of the work for them and giving them incredible content that they can use and then amplify themselves. That's all it is. It just it cuts through all of the noise and nonsense.
And, even with what you just said, I think that's really important to underscore, because you have a tremendous background in this. You have tremendous contacts in this, and people need to realize that these are not things that just come about. You can't just do what you do sitting in your living room. Well,
I can now, but right. It took 20 years of experience. So people are like, okay, that's a great thing that you just said. So people are like, now, my company's almost 4 years old. They're like, wow, it's so successful. You're working with all of these amazing people. I go, well, thank you. But you didn't see me at 3 a.m. with 0 clients, 0 revenue when I was reaching out to 5,000 people to get 5 clients. You didn't see that. Right. You don't see the backstage. You just see the front stage. You just don't get it. And so most people would never even think about doing this. They just, because they're not genetically programmed to this, they don't have genius war hero, Nuremberg trial attorney mixed with endless hustle brain. They don't have that. You're born like this or you're not. And then if people try to do this, they fizzle out because they're not born to do this. They can't handle the endless rejection. They can't handle that. Yeah. Most people, that's why they have a job, or they fizzle out because they can't handle that. And so you're either born an entrepreneur or you're not. I was just made to do this. Mm-hmm. But what you can do is work on your mindset every day. So I just treat my brain like a muscle. I'm just constantly working on my mindset, and podcasts or great books or running outside 6 days a week, no matter the weather. And then hanging out with the top people on the planet and listening to them, because you just work on your mindset. And my mindset's impenetrable now. All it does is attract other top mindset people.
Let's pull on that thread a little bit, the podcast thread. Because I think a lot of people also don't look at podcasts as national media opportunities.
Yeah, well, they're wrong.
Yeah.
It's not national, it's global. And so all I do is hear blah, blah, blah and simplify, right? And so I wrote an international best-selling book last year, and that's fine. It's great. I'm very thankful for that. But all that has done is created a key. All it has done is created a key that's opened endless doors. And a lot of those doors are through podcasts. And so podcasts are replacing mainstream media in terms of relevance and importance. And I'm a futurist, so I've been saying this for years, and now people are starting to actually understand what I was talking about. And so podcasts, because I simplify and see patterns, they're replacing mainstream media in terms of relevance and importance for 3 reasons. So here are the 3 reasons. Very simple. 1, the host is an entrepreneur, not a journalist, so they're coming from a place of abundance, not scarcity. 2, you can do a deep dive on someone, 30 minutes, 45 minutes, an hour. It's not a 2-minute drive-by interview on TV or a 5-minute drive-by interview on radio. So you actually get to know the subject and the host, by the way. 3, I think this is the most important. The audience isn't as large quantity-wise, but it's a far more qualified audience. So a regular person's not going to listen to us talk about, I'm guessing they won't. But a high-level entrepreneur, or someone in media, they will listen to this. So it's just a more qualified audience, qualified leads. And it's just going to keep going in that direction. So people like numbers and stuff, right? I've been on 7 podcasts where the host has become my firm's client. I never expected that. So I'll repeat that. I've been on 7 podcasts as the guest where the host has become my firm's client, because all podcasts are, all they are is a transactional and transformational platform for entrepreneurs. That's what they are. They're better than mainstream media, I think. They used to be, you go on the Today Show, which, by the way, my wife and I have been on the Today Show. You go on the Today Show and you saw all these books. That's not how it is anymore. Mm-hmm. It's podcasts. That's where it is. That's how it works.
And now that you brought that up, tell us about your book.
Oh, sure. See, when I land the plane, I get annoyed, but I'll land it. It's called Epic Business, and it's an international bestseller in 6 countries. A lot of people write books and they're meaningless because there's no meaning behind them. So the foreword for my book was written by Chris Voss, who wrote Never Split the Difference, which is one of the top business books in the last 20 years. And so, like my dad's diary, it's 30 things I learned in the company's first 30 months from some of the top people in the world, and then how I implemented it into my company. So each one of those 30 things is a chapter. Boom, 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 boom. Inform and entertain, just like my dad's diary. Inform and entertain. No fluff, just here you go. This is it.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to reading it, and I will make sure that book is in the show notes. So then, before we land the plane, let me ask you a couple of things. 4 last questions. First one is, what's the best piece of advice you were ever given?
Thank you. So my father died when I was 13. If he was alive now, he would be 105.
Wow.
And so, wow, but real wow. That's what I mean. It's a wow with real wow. And so that's my whole life, is wow with real wow. I was born like that. And so he lived just long enough, and I was alive just long enough for it to sink in. I was 13. And so he would always say, the cream rises to the top, the cream rises to the top, the cream rises to the top. So I only work with the cream that's risen to the top. That's it.
Love it.
Right.
Share with us one thing on your bucket list.
Yeah, so I'm in a program called Strategic Coach, which is the top entrepreneurial group in the world. Been very blessed to be in that almost 2 years. And so the first thing they ever do, the first day, is you write down a bucket list of lifetime extender. So currently I'm going to live to 123, and then I wrote 5 bucket list things. I'll give you a couple.
Okay.
One is, my sons are 8 and 6. So one is to live to 123. 2 is to be at my grandchildren's weddings. Again, my sons are 8 and 6. So that's grandchildren's weddings a long time.
Mm-hmm.
3 is to go to Svalbard to see the polar bears. Svalbard is an archipelago north of Norway. There's about 1,000 people that live there. 4 is to swim with great white sharks in South Africa or Australia. And then 5 is to take my family to the North Slope of Alaska, which is America's last frontier. There's more bears there than people. And so those are my 5 bucket list items currently, and all of those will be accomplished.
Good. Can't wait to hear about it.
And it'll be a while. We'll talk when we're, each 123 or whatever. It'll be fun.
I'll have you back on the show.
Write it down. I'll do it. It'd be awesome.
Okay, when the toy companies finally get around to making an action figure of you, what 2 accessories will it come with?
Yeah, so in college, my nickname was Speed Racer. There's a very inappropriate story behind that. So I'm wondering if they could make a Speed Racer action figure. So I'll give you one answer to that. It would be a little golden bridge, because all I am is a golden bridge between people that are here and they want to transform to here. So all my company does is a bridge to that. It's a transformational bridge. So I'd get a golden bridge.
Love that. And last one, how do people find you?
Boy, we're really landing the plane with that one. I love that. So I'm an outlier of outliers. The company does have a website. It's called BrEpic, BrEpicLLC.com. But really the best way is on LinkedIn. Just past 25,000 followers there. So Justin Breen on LinkedIn. And thank you very much for landing the plane there.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
You're welcome.
Thank you for joining us. Once again, I'm Marlana Semenza, photographer and visual strategist. Please comment, like, or share this episode, and don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a thing. For more information on how I can help you create your iconic image, visit marlanasemenza.com.